if you look at your body, right, it's like the information that we have now clearly shows that there's some very valuable health markers that you should probably be trying to hit, that's going to help you to live a better life, think clearer. Like there's definitely, like eating healthy is so important. Like if you get to the point where you're just like, oh, it's just a body, it doesn't really matter. No, it does matter, because how you feel is how you think, is how you live, right? And then even if you look at finances, it's like they've discovered that I think 75, maybe 80,000 now. If you make $80,000 a year, that's probably the cap, where anything over that probably isn't going to affect your life in much of a way. So that's something I've been thinking about, is like, hey, as soon as I hit that 80,000, that marker, that's when I'm going to really start thinking, okay, cool. Maybe anything over that can be used for some sort of good charitable purpose. Maybe anything over that goes towards something that could help others around me, as opposed to just, taking it in because it's not necessarily important or valuable, right?
Yeah. And notice, by the way, that the ethic behind that is a kind of cosmopolitan ethic, which is that it's not just about your own happiness.
Yeah.
Right? You are being useful to those around you, and it doesn't matter whose happiness it is, right?
Yeah.
So I think that you seeing yourself as having a duty to you is one thing, and to the folks just in your just immediately around you, but you have duties to people in virtue of their humanity, in virtue of your shared presence that we have here in this world. And again, I think that Stoicism is really the ancient philosophy that's able to capture that commitment. Look, we share something with other folks and we owe something to them. Epicureanism is terrible at that. The Epicureans are like, the Epicureans were very famous about what we see from Lucretius's De Rerum Natura. He opens book 2 saying, you know what, you should feel really good whenever you see a ship out at sea foundering and all those people splashing around in the water drowning, because you're not them. You should pat yourself on the back, because that's it. Be pleased that you're not them. Like don't get caught up in feeling bad about them. That's right. Find a way to feel good that you're not them. What a horrible place to be as a human being. Again, that's kind of throwing the Epicureans under the bus and things like that. But that's a sort of the Epicurean. But the Stoics were so good at being able to see you having a kind of obligation to the rest of humanity, just in virtue of your shared humanity. That's something really important, and something that that in some ways was really hard for someone other than the Stoics to be able to think. Even someone like Plato, who's committed to justice and the harmony of everything. Whenever you look at his perfect states, the only folks that really count were the citizens of that state. You didn't really care about non-citizens or citizens of other states or something like that. And so the owing something to others just in virtue of your humanity, that's a big thought. And the Stoics were the first to really get good at thinking that.
And what I'm interested in that line of thinking is, where is the line, right, between when you move from... See, I know that by helping yourself, that's in a way helping others, because the stronger you are as an individual, the more influence you can have on other people's lives, right? You can help more people when you feel better. So what I'm interested in is always that line between helping yourself and helping others, because what you see when people go too far in the direction of helping others is they don't have time to look after themselves, and so therefore they're not able to help as much as they possibly can. And you see this with nations as well. What a nation, in my opinion, should do is focus first on strengthening its base so that it's got a strong position, so that when others need help, it can be there, right? So what's that line? What do you think? Did the Stoics talk about this line a lot, or?
Well, so here's a funny thing. For as clear as the Stoics sort of general value theory was, it was not a value theory that yielded a lot of procedures for you to be able to identify the perfect decision in many cases. And so And so, and in fact, the Stoics were pretty famous for having debates about this. So a very, very simple example, which was about how obliged you are to be informative about all the conditions bearing on an exchange. So here's the setup. You're a grain trader. You are arriving at a port at a town that hasn't had grain delivered in a while. You know that they're going to pay a premium for the grain coming in, and so it's a town. So you are making a sale under conditions of relative scarcity, right? And so the Stoics never say it's okay for, like, if they're willing to pay, like, they never say under conditions of relative scarcity it's okay for you. It's okay. It's not okay for you to jack up the price. They didn't say that, and there were no discussions about price fixing or gouging or anything like that. But it was the issue was not whether or not it was okay for you to pay the price that they were willing to pay, or charge the price that they were willing to pay. It was whether or not you were obliged to let them know that another shipment of grain is coming in about a half a day behind you. You had the faster ship, and you got there before the other ship, and you went and they don't ask, right? And the important thing is that they say, and that part of the setup is they don't ask about whether or not the second shipment of grain is just behind you. And so you are selling under conditions of relative scarcity. It's not going to be for much longer. They don't know that it's not going to be for much longer. And so the Stoic Musonius Rufus, Epictetus's teacher, before he was manumitted, had regular debates about these sorts of things. And like, look, Stoicism's got a sort of is a system that's supposed to be able to kind of tell you what the good is, but it turns out that, like, deliberating about virtue is something that requires that you kind of, like, well, it looks like we've kind of got hard cases, right? It's like, so, and the interesting thing about Stoicism is that it's a story that's supposed to be able to tell you, here's a good way to think about easy cases. So here's a cool thing about some ethical theories. Some ethical theories are built to be able to handle hard cases. Right? They're built to be able to be like, look, my job right now is to be able to come in and be able to manage a hard case. But then they sort of make easy cases weird. But then there are other cases, there are other ethical theories that are made to be able to sort of, okay, look, we're going to get all the easy cases right, and then just be able to be like, hard cases, hey, that's a hard case. We can explain what makes it. We can explain what makes it a hard case, but we can't tell you what to do in them. And that's kind of what Stoicism is. Stoicism is a program that says, look, we've got you set up so that you can handle a lot of easy cases. Our program is to be able to sort of be like, live a life so that you get all the easy cases right, and that we work on deliberating and debating and talking about the hard cases. And so long as we're looking at you coming in and exercising the virtue of being a rational creature, trying to do your best in the hard cases, that's actually where the good is, right? Again, the good is in the virtue, right? The good's in you exercising the virtue. And in you trying to be as thoughtful and trying to do the right thing under these conditions, that's the thing that matters the most. So I think the same thing goes with the sort of the where's the line. The where's the line issue is a hard case, right? Where it's like, look, under conditions of scarcity, every parent faces this, right? If you've ever taken care of someone who needs you a lot, right? So a sick parent or a dog or something like that, you're like, look, you could completely throw yourself into it and be the best nurse for them as you can be and neglect yourself, but that's sustainable for only so long. What's the right proportions? And the answer is, look, I mean, this is the reason why you have to get good at easy cases, and this is the reason why you have to get good at being rational, because it turns out in those kind of hard cases, the equitable decision is one that sort of is not one that's the product of a kind of a plug, you crunch the numbers and you get an answer. Stoicism's not good at that. Stoicism's good at easy cases, and then being able to say, like, look, if you're the very fact that you're deliberating about this means that your heart's in the right place. Do your best.